Hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. My name is KPZ. You're here on the home of the Slightly Above Average Ship Review. We are on tiers in a domination match. We're down tier in a ship that should not exist in this game. The Japanese Tier 7 Premium Destroyer, Kirisame. Now, I got the Kirisame out of a Christmas crate through judicious application of my wallet. Had I really done my research before I actually got this ship, I never would have bought it. I'm not really going to talk about this game because I want to talk about why ships like the Kirisame are bad for World of Warships Legends. The Kirisame, in Wargaming's own words, is a theoretical design of what would happen if Japanese military got a hold of U.S. naval gunnery and put U.S. 5-inch guns on Japanese destroyers. The other version of the Kirisame, which is going to be another video, is a Kadro with Akizuki turrets. Now, I don't have a problem with that because that's all in that same country, but then they add deep water torpedoes. And I do have a problem with that as well. One of the big factors, in fact, maybe the biggest factor, that I stopped playing World of Tanks console, of which I was in a clan that's very successful, and I was a little bit above average in that game as well, is that Wargaming introduced something called mercenary tanks to the game. I will give you a sample mercenary tank. So it would be like an American tank hull with a German tank gun and a British tank engine, or something like that. They would take the gun from one tank, the armor from a second country's tank, and the engine from a third country's tank, and put them together, and they called them mercenary tanks, and they were complete with stupid names and stuff like that. One of the mercenary tanks' name was literally tank. Okay. And it turned off so many people. I can't tell you. I would go to the internet site where people were chatting about World of Tanks console, and people would have these little things you could put up that told your win rate and how long you had played, and how many games you had played. And I can't tell you how many Unicum and Super Unicum players I saw after they introduced the mercenary tanks had zero recent games played because they all quit the game. And I am telling you, Wargaming, you're treading a very dangerous line here with a ship like this that combines U.S. guns, Japanese destroyer, because this did not exist in real life. Now, in one of my more recent videos, I talked about a ship that did exist in real life. Z-31 got captured, turned over to the French. It had 15 centimeter guns, and then it had U.S. radar and U.S. torpedoes. That actually existed in real life. So if you put that ship in the game, I don't have a problem with that. This ship in the game, I really do have a problem with it because both hulls had things in them that didn't really happen. They have deep water torpedoes on the other hull with the Akizuki guns, and this ship has U.S. guns on its hull. And that didn't happen in real life. I'm sorry, I have a problem with that. And there are a great many players who probably don't care and who are more than happy to shell out their money for this ship or the chance to get it. But to my knowledge, this is the only ship in our game which takes theoretical armament and puts it onto a destroyer from 3 different nations. Now, it's in 2 different hulls. This is American guns, Japanese destroyer. The other one is Japanese destroyer, Pan-Asian deep-water torpedoes. And yes, I know somebody in the comments is going to say, but deep-water torpedoes are just a characteristic of Pan-Asian destroyers, and that isn't really a thing. Yes, I understand all that. But there is no delineation of torpedo depth for any other nation. And so that's why I have a problem with it. Here I'm going to show you how not to play the ZF6. By the way, the ZF6 commander. I'm sorry. I'm left to conclude he doesn't know what he's doing. You know, he was doing all right until right here when he turned away. Yeah, that was a bad mistake. And I'm going to show you the folly of that mistake here in a second. Now, I want to say, are we going to put on the brakes because I'm a sneaky bastard? We're not even going to put on the brakes. It's just he disabled my propulsion to the extent that all his torpedoes are going to miss. Okay? He didn't even plan for that. And now he's wide open for me to rip him apart with these U.S. guns. We knock out a turret. That means he doesn't have a damage con anymore. And we're just going to keep tearing him up. And at this range, he can't stand up to U.S. guns. Set him on fire, add insult to injury before we kill him. This ship is powerful. I don't think it's powerful as the other hull. I'm going to talk about that in the other video. But I wouldn't have bought this ship through buying crates if I had known that that's what this thing was. This is a Frankenstein ship. Wargaming, you do not want to introduce this to this game. I know the Pandora is already out of the box or whatever. Don't do this to any other ships. Don't introduce any other ships that don't have historical accuracy to them. I mean, look, you introduce plenty of ships that are just drawings on a piece of paper, and you play hot and fast with the rules. Oh, well, you know, hey, let's take Ohio, for example. 18-inch guns were never supposed to be in a Montana class, but you put them there anyway. But at least that's in one nation's armament. That could have been a possibility. Some admiral, not John Kirby, could have got drunk at the bar last night and said, hey, let's put the Georgia's guns on a Montana hull and call it the Ohio. Yeah, that's legit. That could have happened. All right. So I'm less offended by you bending history by doing that because it was a possibility. This was not a possibility at all. You know, unless somewhere there's a report that the Japanese captured a U.S. destroyer or salvaged a sunken U.S. destroyer and took the guns out of it and did artillery testing and mounted it on one of their destroyers. But if that actually happened, I've never read or seen anything online about it. Okay, so that's why I have a problem with this. You say in your own notes, this is a fantastical creation where you put U.S. artillery on a Japanese destroyer. Please stop doing this. You're going to get people that stop playing this game even after they bought hundreds of dollars of premium chips. And I know you don't care because you're going to replace them. But it is the same reason I bitched about your Halloween commanders and your pay commanders having better skills than real actual sailors who fought and died during and before World War II. It is an insult to everybody, especially the people who died, to introduce this kind of shit into the game. That's my opinion, and I stand by that. There are plenty of ships. You don't need to do this. Here on the victory screen, I mean, the match ended before I could have done any damage, but the artillery hull is plenty strong. 3 kills, solo base cap, and assisted base cap. We end up with plenty of money and plenty of other stuff and a bad taste in our mouth. I just don't like this. I think it is bad for our game. I think it will destroy this game if you keep doing it. Speaking of destroying the game, we do end up at the top of the board. 2,800 base XP, 3 big kills. In the artillery hull of the Kirisame, U.S. twin turret or U.S. guns on a Japanese destroyer. I think they're twin turrets, to be honest with you, with a longer reload. We're going to go over that here in the port here in just a second. All right, looking at the upgrades. Aiming system mod 1. Propulsion mod 2. Concealment System Mod 1, and Main Battery Mod 3. All right, here's the hull upgrade, the artillery hull. We're going to demount that. As you can see, we have 6 gun barrels. When you demount it, you can see by adding the artillery hull, you go from 3 gun barrels to 6 gun barrels, and then you gain turret traverse, not accurate for U.S. guns and turrets. You lose AP shell damage, and you lose some fire chances, something like that. So that's what we had mounted on the ship. They don't even put U.S. turrets. They just put Japanese turrets and say that they're 127 millimeters. All right, we mounted the smoke screen simply because I think the torpedo reload booster is more appropriate on the torpedo hull. Also had 2 charges of the engine boost, running all these booster flags and the common battle booster for speed. And we got the Type 9 permanent camouflage and the Bon Matsuri flag. Taking a look at the specs, 3000 hit points with our build. Got those 3 twin 127 millimeter turrets, 10.6 kilometer firing range, 3.1 second reload, 14.8 second turn time, HE shells 1800 max damage with a 7% fire chance, AP shells 2200 max damage. If I'm not mistaken, that's identical to like the Black or the Summers or whatever. 2 quad launchers reload every 130 seconds. Max damage 13,047. 10 kilometer range at 64 knots. The detectability is 1,600 meters. And they probably tinkered with the torpedo speed for the benefit of balance, which is why the ship shouldn't exist in the first place. You have no AA. I would not run AL Yukikaze in this ship. Maneuverability 36.6 knots, 640 meter turning circle, 4.4 second rudder shift time. Concealment 4.9 on surface, 2.8 from the air, 2.5 when firing from smoke. Disregard the statistics screen because most of that is in the other hull, which I've had a whale of a time getting the right game to show you. This game is responsible for our max kills and our max XP score you can see down at the bottom there. But the main battery is pretty accurate, relatively speaking, in either hull. All right. Here's the commander, Takeo Kurita. Again, I don't recommend AL Yukikaze. Her base trait deals with AA, and the ship doesn't have any AA. So what you see here is a standard gunboat build for a gunboat with poor turret traverse. That is twist and track. Also, I shouldn't have had cloudy days. I should have put smoke on the water, but I'm too dumb to think about that before I start a match. So that is the commander we had in our ship. Anyway, I'd love to know what you think about the artillery hull only. The torpedo hull is going to be a missive of salt water all its own. I just don't know when that's going to be up on the channel.